Hi everybody, this is Akash and welcome to another episode of Fans or Fanatics. Today I'm going to talk about my top 10 Batman story arcs of all time. In order to narrow it down to just 10 stories, I have decided to not include the Justice League stories and also other crossover stories that have taken place under multiple titles. I must also clarify that the order is completely random, so without further ado, let's get started. The Long Halloween was a 13-issue limited series written by Jeff Loeb with art by Tim Sale that was originally published in 1996 and 97. Essentially a mystery novel in the form of a comic book, The Long Halloween follows Batman as he tries to track down a mysterious killer who kills only on holidays. The story explores a romantic relationship between Bruce Wayne and Selina Kyle, aka the Catwoman. It also features some of Batman's most prominent villains like the Joker, the Poison Ivy, and the Riddler, as Batman pieces together evidences to track the holiday killer. The story arc also gives an origin to one of the most infamous Batman villains of all time, the Two-Face. Batman Hush was published in monthly installments under the comic title Batman from issue number 608 to 619 in 2002. Written by Jeff Loeb and drawn by Jim Lee, Hush is a mystery novel of action and deception where Batman sets out to find the identity of an unknown mastermind who is using the Joker, Ra's al Ghul, and other enemies of Batman to wreak havoc. The brilliant storytelling is perfectly complemented by the modern and engaging artwork of Jim Lee and is surely one of Batman's all-time best that established him as the world's greatest detective. The Dark Knight Returns, a 1986 four-issue comic book miniseries written by Frank Miller, is one of the books that is credited by many for bringing back the grim and gritty in Batman following the campy Silver Age version everyone was getting used to. An Elseworld storyline that sets its scene in a world where an old Batman has retired from crime fighting and the criminals are running rampage in Gotham City. But just like a true hero, he has to return for one last fight. A poignant story that explores the moral gray area that exists in the world of vigilantism, where a so called hero has to fight for justice, battling his inner conflicts so that the greater good in him triumphs over the lesser evils. This comic book is of great historical significance, as this is what brought back the emotional depth and pathos in superheroes and made them for adults once again. Arkham Asylum, a serious house on serious earth, written by Grant Morrison and illustrated by Dave McKean, was originally published in the United States in 1989. A marvel in both artwork and storytelling, this novel was far ahead of its time. It is one of its kind in many ways. The hauntingly beautiful artwork that was strikingly different from anything we had seen so far, the color coded speech bubbles, the panel designs, all made Arkham Asylum one of the best graphic novels of all time. The story features Batman uncovering mysteries as he strolls through the Arkham Asylum where the inmates have taken over the institution under the leadership of the Joker. A scary and cerebral journey that explores the origin of the Arkham Asylum and also makes the reader question the role of Batman in the rehabilitation of the criminally insane of Gotham. Batman The Return of Bruce Wayne is a six-issue limited series published in 2010, written by Grant Morrison. This directly follows the event of the final crisis where Batman shoots Darkseid using the God Killer gun and is then hit by his Omega Beam. Superman built a miracle machine to save Earth and a wish for a happy ending for everyone, and Batman or Bruce Wayne is sent through time to live many lives before he is brought back again. He loses his memory, meets Vandal Savage, Blackbeard the Pirate, the Cave People, who started worshipping Batman and literally made him Bat God. This journey through time takes us through different eras that redefine Batman once and for all. In this story arc, Morrison took Batman, broke him down to pieces, and rebuilt him. He explored Batman not just as a man and a hero, but also as a mythos, a symbol, a god entrenched in the history of Gotham. Batman Year One was published under the comic title Batman from issue number 404 to 407 in the year 1987. Written by Frank Miller and illustrated by David Mazzucchelli, this explores the Caped Crusader's first year as a crime-fighting vigilante on the streets of Gotham City. This story illustrates how the relationship dynamics between Batman and Jim Gordon developed in the early years of Batman's crime fighting, as both of them were trying to fight the corruption that had crept its way into the heart of Gotham City's police department. Batman has historically established himself as someone who is always prepared for any possibilities, but this storyline shows a side of him that is novice and still prone to making mistakes. The story ends with Jim Gordon as the newly promoted commissioner of Gotham Police Department standing on the rooftop with Batman discussing about someone who calls himself the Joker threatening to poison the Gotham City's reservoirs. Batman RIP, originally published in Batman from issue number 676 to 681 in 2008. Another masterpiece by Grant Morrison where Batman faces the Black Glove organization that threatens to destroy him psychologically. In the story, Grant Morrison reintroduces a character called Zaren Ah, first appeared in Batman issue number 113 in 1958, the Superman of Planet X. He was a guy on an alien planet who was inspired by Batman after seeing him on Earth through a telescope and decides to emulate him wearing a campy, very 50s red-yellow costume. Grant Morrison took that character and used him as a backup personality for Batman that he reverts back to after he is brainwashed and intoxicated by Dr. Hurt during this storyline that explores a mental and psychological journey that Batman goes through to beat the devil. Batman White Knight is a comic book limited series created by Sean Murphy, released over 8 issues in 2017 and 18. This series looks into the character Joker in a different light. It tells a story in which Jack Napier, or the Joker as we all know him, has regained his sanity and through clever planning and meticulous deception has successfully changed the public perception of Batman from a hero to a villain. Someone who is responsible for the endless cycle of crime that Gotham has borne witness to over the years. The White Knight explores the character Joker as someone who is not an agent of chaos anymore, but a criminal mastermind beating Batman at his own game. Batman the Man Who Laughs, written by Ed Brubaker and Doug Mahnke, released in February 2005, was meant to be a successor to Batman Year One. This storyline depicts the first fight between the Batman and his arch-enemy, the Joker. This story explores the journey of the Joker and shows the readers that there is a certain purposefulness associated with his actions that might seem apparently very chaotic and random. A brilliantly paced crime story, The Man Who Laughs gives a glimpse of how the Joker perfected his art of chaos to become the ever so frightening Clown Prince of Gotham. Batman the Killing Joke, a 1988 DC Comics one-shot graphic novel written by Alan Moore and illustrated by Brian Bolland, is widely regarded as the best Batman story of all time. This storyline gives an origin of Joker, where he is a failed comedian and is forced to join hands with the infamous Red Hood gang. He loses his wife and kids and meets with a chemical accident that drives him towards this path of madness. Diving into the mind of a crazy lunatic, this story explores the lengths that someone criminally insane would go through to inflict a similar torment on others that he had once gone through. Through the pages of this classic, Moore explores his idea of how psychological Batman and Joker are just mirror images of one another and how Batman in his own way is just as insane as the Joker. Comment down below to tell us about some of your favorite Batman story arcs, and as always, like, share, subscribe, and see you in the next one.